Hello and welcome to another whiskey review. My name is Josh Cho, and today we're going to do a whiskey review on Macallan 18-year-old single malt whiskey. Naturally, I thought we go up a step and get the bottle that's 6 more years on the 12. I did the 12 just to the last review, and felt like it just be a perfect way to get into the 18 and try something that's aged a little bit longer. So 6 years is the difference between these two, and that's really the only difference because the barrels apparently I think are about the same. They're still the Jerez Spain Spanish Oloroso barrels that they age the 18-year-olds, and it's basically the 12-year that they don't pour out, and they keep it in for another 6 years. So 18 is the minimum amount of aging for the Macallans, and for the Macallan 18, whenever they have an age statement, so it's got to be at the minimum of the number of years on the label is the amount that they have to have. They can have older whiskies as well, though. But it's 18, and it comes in a bottle label that's purple. It's not the full size, of course. The box is still kind of designed the same way, though, as the larger one compared to the smaller one, and it has a dark purple kind of label and gold leaf lettering. And I don't have the full size one, but hopefully at some point when the time is right, I'll fork out some cash for this expensive bottle, because it's not a cheap bottle at all. So I believe I spent for this little sample bottle something like $15, and it's a 50 milliliter. So it's one of the most, it's probably the most expensive 50 milliliter bottle I've ever spent on. $15 for a little 50 milliliter. But I believe the going rate for the 750 ml for the 18 is about $230, $220. I've seen it even higher to $250, depending on where you purchase it. So it's very expensive, and that's due to the high demand. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a review on the 18, and I have the 12 just because I had the review just a second ago on it, and I can kind of just do a little bit of comparison on the color, maybe even the smell and the taste, to give you sort of a gauge as to the differences between them and what the price difference really does, well, if it justifies it. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and open up the 18 and give you my nose and taste. So I remember buying this before, and I remember it had an actual cork in this 50 ml, which is very rare because most 50 milliliter bottles have a screw top, metal screw top, and well, if you're purchasing an 18-year-old Macallan and you're spending that much amount of money, well, they made these tops with the cork, even though they're this small, which I think is kind of funny. It's kind of ridiculous, but I guess it's cool. I guess a lot of people appreciate that because it's a real cork, but look how small it is. Kind of reminds me of the, I don't know why, but this aesthetic sort of just reminds me of like the shape, the replication of the Tabasco sauce. That's the small version. Everything about it's identical, but it's like a quarter the size, and it just has this sort of animated, cartoony kind of feel to it just because it's smaller. And I get that sort of sensation when I see a small cork. But okay, I guess they want to keep things classy there at Macallan with their 18s. Don't want to get a metal cap on a 50 ml. So here's the 18. I'm going to just pour it in and see what we got in terms of the color. I'm not going to pour too much just because, well, I already had the 12, and I'm going to have to finish that before I go to bed, and the 18 is quite pricey, and I really just need to get a little bit of the taste and smell to give you this review. So if I just take a look at the color, it also has a very deep gold color, the 12, but it has a, well, it does have a deeper color, but honestly, not by much. I mean, the 6 years adds color, a lot darker, sorry, take that back, darker, but not a lot darker. So, you know, that just shows you how much of that difference is. I wouldn't say it's definitely not marginal, but it is, it would just, you would think that it would seem to be a lot darker than than this, but I would still say that's, it's still a very beautiful color. Very nice, deep gold color. And here's another thing I do notice. The viscosity is thicker, actually. I do notice that. So there's a lot more oils in this, and that's probably because it's been, really extracting the juice and the tannins and all that oil that's coming out of the pores of the oak, because it's been sitting in that barrel for 6 more years. So it shows. I can see that, and that's probably going to affect the, well, it's definitely going to affect the taste, but I'm thinking the finish, right? The oils will just kind of linger in your mouth longer because it's a lot more oily. So definitely very interesting, very cool to see that in the whiskey by just looking at it. Okay, I'm getting to the smell. Wow, that smells great. Huh. Yeah, I would say the sherry's there, but it's definitely a little more complex because I don't just get that full blast dried fruit, that fig I get in the 12-year-old, I get that in here, but it's not just that, so it's kind of mixed in with a bunch of other things, which is kind of interesting. It makes the nose a little bit more worthy of just, spending more time to kind of parse all the layers that you can smell, and you don't really need to do that with the 12 so much. So I do think that it is definitely, just right off the bat, more complex than the 12. But yeah, I get the same similar vanillas and sherry dried fruits, but I get more like tropical notes in there, like pineapple now and mango. It's interesting. There's definitely more tropical nose to it than the 12 and in this 18. Kind of want to go to the 12 and see if I get any of that. You know what? I get more of that fig in this than I get in the 18, which is kind of the inverse of what I would think, because the sherry is the fig that I always get with the Macallan, and you would think that if it stays in there longer, you get more of that. No, maybe I should pour just a little bit more in the glass just to see if I'm not getting enough of that juice in there, enough of the whiskey to smell it, honestly. So maybe I didn't really do a objective pour. I think that should be enough. Yeah, no, it's funny, the 12 gets actually more of that deep fig. That's kind of interesting. And that's what I really like about the 12. 18 almost has like a very light fig, but very fruity in other ways, and it's got kind of this grassy kind of like youthfulness to it, even though it's 18. Like it has this, I don't mean, what do you mean by grassy? It has like a very kind of herbal kind of note in the nose. With the fruit, it's kind of nice and complex. But interesting, I don't get that deep fig. Which is odd, because I remember my memory from the 18 I had last time, it was very deep. Maybe it's a particular bottle that I got too. I don't, maybe, they change from year to year too as well. They don't always stay the same, unfortunately. So I get kind of the same spices as well from the 12, like the cinnamon, ginger. I actually get more of the spices in this than the 12, and less of the intense sherry sweetness of the dried fig. I get other types of sweetness, tropical fruits, lighter fruits, and not that really deep, dark, baked kind of fruit as this 12. So something's really weird. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I just got a bad batch of this 18-year-old 50 ml. And I don't know if it's the same case with you guys out there that have tried the 12 and the 18 and compared the color between the two and checked both side by side. But I'm really quite impressed how really kind of somewhat small the difference is. I'm not sure if that's what you guys are also getting on your end when you check the color, but they're not that much different. I mean, I can tell this one's got a little bit of a darker hue than this, and this one also has kind of a redder hue, like more of a mahogany color than the 12, but I guess, it's a little bit, different. Okay, I'm off to the taste. Wow. So, it is kind of like the small. It has less of that deep dark fig than the 12, but it has a much more complex fruit taste, and it does have a really dark fruit flavor than what my nose picked up actually in the palate when I tasted it, and it is certainly a lot more complex and interesting because it's harder for me to parse all the flavors out. And there's like a background of nuts now that I'm getting. Like there's this dryness with the spices, and then I got some nuts after, and I didn't really get that with the 12, which is quite. I like that kind of development where it kind of goes into all these different layers. And the 18 certainly provides that more than the 12. That's just a little bit more than I'm willing to pay for, but worth checking out. Definitely worth if you like the 12 to just if you can, if you're really lucky, you can find one of these because these are actually not easy to find. I found this at a deli in Larchmont in Los Angeles called Larchmont Wine and Cheese, and if anyone who's working out there is watching this video, you guys are awesome. You guys have got a great selection of 50 mLs. And if you're in LA and you need to find an 18, you can go over there and buy one for about $15. And try it. It's worth a shot, at least the sample version, and you'll see it for yourself whether you want to fork out the $200+ for the bottle. Okay, until next time, I'm going to probably keep up with the Speyside in my next reviews as well, so stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.